Alright, that should be live and good. Check. Alright, yeah, we'll call that good. Yeah, I didn't know what to do today. So, stuff I've been meaning to look up. Thoughts I've had. Figure I'd just do another wiki stream. Easy enough. The first one I want to do is the Boogeyman. Because I don't know anything. I kind of looked through this before. But I wanted to know more. Because it's just this figure. The Boogeyman is a mythical creature typically used to frighten children into good behavior. I read that's odd to me because I never really associated him with enforcing good morals or good behavior. He was always just like, that's why you're scared. Boogeymen have no specific appearance, and concepts vary drastically by household and culture. They are most commonly just depicted as masculine or androgynous monsters. Again, like, I guess man kind of implies masculine, but I've never even had like an idea of what it would look like. Punish children for misbehavior. The Boogeyman, typically similar monsters, can be found in many cultures around the world. Boogeymen may target a specific act or general misbehavior depending on the purpose of invoking the figure. Often on the basis of a warning from an authority figure to a child. The term is sometimes used as a non-specific personification of or... I don't know that word. For terror. See, yeah, this is what I'm more familiar with. Not the devil, but just kind of a general personification of terror. That's a good way to put it. The word boogeyman, used to describe the monster in English, may have derived from Middle English. Bogue, frightening specter. I feel like I've heard that term before. Scarecrow, it relates to boggart or bugbear, meaning goblin or scarecrow. Imagined a demon in the form of a bear that ate small children. Okay. It was also used to mean a general object of dread. The word bugaboo, similar pair of meanings, may have arisen as an alteration of bugbear. Boogeyman itself is known from the 15th century, though Boogeyman stories are likely to be much older. So this is like something I've learned is that a lot of terms for mythical creatures used to be much more generic. Like I know elves and fairies in older forms of English, not necessarily Old English, but they just kind of meant creatures out in the wild, like mythical creatures. And it wasn't until like Tolkien and Gary Gygax, they started to carry with them a very specific meaning. Just a bunch of other names in different cultures. Physical description, okay. It is often described as a dark, formless creature with shape-shifting abilities. The Boogeyman of my youth have I guess it was never said to be a shapeshifter, but I guess it was kind of implied. The Boogeyman is known as to satiate its appetite by snatching and consuming children. Yeah. Descriptions of the Boogeyman vary across cultures, yet there's often commonalities between them, including claws or talons and sharp teeth, sure. Its nature changes, although examples are said to be a kind spirit with demons, witches, and other legendary creatures being less common variants. Witches. Seems like an odd inclusion in that. Some are described as having animal features such as horns, hooves, or a bug-like appearance. Never heard bug-like. Other putative origins. Because of the myth's global prevalence, it's difficult to find the original source of the legend. The Boogeyman was first referenced the hobgoblins described in 16th century England. Many believe that they were made to torment humans, while some only played simple pranks. Others were more foul in nature. Again, goblin is one of those terms that used to be a much more generic. Excuse me. Sackman. Sackman is a variant of the boogeyman folklore, as its name suggests, stuffed children in sacks. It predominantly exists in Latin American cultures, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Paraguay, well as Latin Europe, both Portugal and Spain, and is sometimes referenced as El Hombre del Costal, El Hombre de la Bosa, El Hombre de la del Saco. I can guess that last one. I can guess the coastal one, too. Or in Portuguese, O Homem do Saco. Other Spanish language variants of El Roba Chicos, meaning child stealer. A lot of failed verification and unreliable sources in this article, but in Eastern Europe, the Bulgarian Orbalan, Sackman, as well as in Haiti and some countries in Asia. El Coco. El Coco, another version of the boogeyman common to many Spanish-speaking countries. Cucafera. Monster is equivalent in parts of Catalonia. Spain, parents will sing lullabies. Oop. Sorry, internet got weird there for a second. Parents will sing lullabies and tell rhymes to children, warning them that if they do not fall asleep, El Coco will come and get them. The rhyme originated in the 17th century, and while it evolved over the years, it has still retained its original meaning to this day. Coconuts receives the name because of the hairy brown face created on the coconut shell 3 imitation. Reminded Portuguese sailors of cocoa. Portuguese sailors didn't encounter coconuts until the 17th century? That doesn't sound right. Latin America also has El Coco, although its folklore is different, commonly mixed between native beliefs. And it's closer to the used version of the boogeyman. However, the term El Coco is used in Spanish-speaking Latin American countries, Bolivia, blah, blah, blah. Although it is more usually called El Cuco, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Chile, Uruguay, Panama, and Argentina. Among Mexican Americans, El Cucuy, butchered that, is portrayed as an evil monster that hides under children's bed, again, common place for the boogeyman, at night and kidnaps and eats those who do not obey his or her parents by going to sleep when it is time to do so. However, the Spanish-American boogeyman does not resemble the shapeless hairy monster of Spain. Social sciences professor Manuel Medrano, this is the popular legend, describes El Cuy as a small humanoid with glowing red eyes that hides in closets or under the bed. Some lore has him as a kid who was the victim of violence. Now he's alive, but he is not. Greo said, citing Xavier Garza's 2004 book, Creepy Creatures and Other Cuys. Okay, so that's, like I was talking about before, where it seems like that's more of a generic term than a specific entity. Also reminds me that watching Creepcast, and there's an animatic for it with like Mr. Wide Smile or something like that. Very similar creature. Afghanistan. The Madar-e-Al is a nocturnal hag that slaughters infants in their crib, has invoked fighting children into obedience, burning wild rue seeds and fumigating the area around the baby is believed to offer protection against her. That's interesting. because like all these other ones are talking about, oh, it's to scare children into going to sleep, which is an odd practice, but I understand it. This one has like measures to protect against it. It almost seems like it's viewed more as an actual monster. The booba is a serpentine monster, so mothers would tell their children to be quiet or the booba would get them. Flesh of children, especially girls. He has many heads, from 7 to 100. Like the Greek Hydra, if one is severed, the others will grow in his place. Sure. The div is a hairy giant that eats children. It was outsmarted and defeated by a clever young boy named Yurdan, popular hero in Azerbaijan fairy tales. Look at the Inuit one. The Inuit region, there's a shapeshifter called Zrak. There's no way that's even close. There's an article though, which is said to kidnap children, hide them away, and abandon them. That's a weird twist on it. If the children can convince it to let them go, they can use Inukshuk find their way home. In Inuit mythology, there is also nope, not even gonna try. Human-like creatures with long fingernails, green skin, and long hair that live in the sea. Carry babies and children away in their parkas if the children disobey the parents and wander off alone closer to the water. Creature adopt the children and bring them to live underwater. I think I've read stuff about that. About the Czech Republic, the equivalent of the boogeyman in the Czech Republic is Bubiak, imp, or Stradilla, ghost. These are not typically connected with adopting children nor with discriminating between well and bad behaved ones. One is more often attributed to Holmdans in Klaklanis, Lady Midday, or Krampus, who along with St. Nicholas is traditionally believed to visit families on December 5th. So is that like a regional difference? Or is it all four of these people? Man, there's a lot. Haiti might have a good one. That's Sweeney, the Master of Midnight. Pictured as a skinny, extremely tall man who walks around late at night and eats those on the street. Well, that's interesting. It's not even like go to bed, it's just stay home. Iceland. The Icelandic equivalent is Grela, a female troll who is said to take and eat misbehaving children on Christmas Eve, but supposedly having been dead for some time. She's also the mother of the Yule Lads, an Icelandic equivalent of Santa Claus. Yeah, I know about the Yule Lads. Malta, the Caw-Caw, said to be a gray, slimy creature which roams the streets at night. It smells guilt and enters the homes of guilty people, supposedly through cracks and fissures by extending and contracting its snail-like body. Once inside, it is said to smile uncannily and terrify victims. Again, citation needed. Huh. And this one's just funny. The Buckenriders, or Buck Riders, are ghostly thieves who ride flying goats. It has its own thing. Check that out. Pakistan. It's so weird because it's so close to the English mama. Amma is a large ape-like creature that lives in the mountains and ventures forth to kidnap young girls. He will carry them back to his cave, where he licks their palms and the soles of their feet, which makes them permanently unable to flee. What a weird. Huh. Hey, I don't know anything about Panama. In Panama, children are warned that if they are naughty, la Television, don't know, will come to get them. Said to be a spirit cursed by God for drowning her children. Oh, it's like, what's her name? Transformed into a hideous monster with a pockmarked face, long and bristly hair, clawed hands, and a cat's body, and hooved feet. She was also cursed to forever look for her drowned children. Oh, what's that? They made a horror movie out of it that was kind of poorly received. I know that, yeah, there's another Phantom that is similar to this. The Baba Yaga. From Saudi Arabia. Abu Shawala is a boogeyman-like creature said by parents to come and eat children who are disobedient. Man, there are a lot. La Llorona, that's what it was. Companions of St. Nicholas, that might be an interesting one. Is Oogie Boogie just, yeah, it's just about the Nightmare Before Christmas. Adam Koi Koi. It's weird that Jack the Ripper is in this. And Albert Fish. Like, this is mythical stuff of like, oh, the scary monster's gonna get you, and then it's like two actual serial killers and the villain of a children's movie, kinda. And Yama's is nothing like this. He's a judge. What is this? Oh yeah, metonymy is a figure of speech in which a concept is referred to by the name of something associated with that thing. Oh, like, for example, the word suit may refer to a person from a group identified as wearing formal attire. Metonymy. Never heard that word before. Sure. What was this? Oh yeah, this is the Inuit boogeyman. Which we already read about him a little bit. The North Baffin dialects, Ijira, I'm going to guess, means shapeshifter. Tarasikuk appear like half man, half caribou monster. In Iraq, I keep saying Iraq. It looks like Iraq to me. Iraq can appear in any form it chooses, making it particularly deceptive. Their eyes will always stay red, no matter what they shapeshift into. The real form is just like a human, but their eyes and mouth are sideways. Like on the face? Or I imagine they mean like the eyes are up and down, and not that they're like on one side of the face and the. Okay. The book of Dutch writer. Nope. Says only the shaman knows the real form of the creature. When you are hunting somewhere, the Illustrate inhabit, you will see them in the corner of your eye for a fleeting moment. Shadow people, yep. Trying to observe them directly, however, they are completely elusive. They are sometimes helpful, sometimes fatally deceptive. That's interesting. One of the most noted places for the Arctic sightings of these shapeshifters is the Freeman's Cove area of Turkskavik, I believe, Bathurst Island. The rich oasis is surrounded in a horseshoe pattern by a dormant volcano mountains. Okay. So this is interesting. The Iljurat are said to inhabit a place between two worlds. Now I know a lot of Native American folklore has multiple worlds. Not aware that Inuit traditions also have that. And that's kind of interesting. And actually, now that I think about it, even Christianity does, depending on how you want to look at it. There's the world of the living and then the afterlife, where heaven and hell are. I guess I never really gave that much thought. That's an idea to explore later. Not quite inside this one. There you go, Don. Nor quite out of it. Inuit fathers further south than the North Boffin group used to hold a belief that some Inuit went too far north in the chase for game and became trapped between the world of the dead and the world of the living, like I was just talking about. And thus became Iljurat. Oh, that's kind of... I wonder if there's any DNA between old stories of the Wendigo and this. According to a small handful of surviving elders in the South Boffin region, these believe the Inuits that are settled in Resolute and Griefsfjord are these shapeshifters or shadow people because they went too far north. Some elders will avoid being in the presence of extremely northern Inuit, fearing that they are evil Iljurat or Eskrig. Their home is said to be cursed, and one will lose their way no matter how skilled or familiar with the land. Now see, I don't like this. One plausible explanation for this unusual phenomenon is likely related to large deposits of sour gas, which can be stirred by simply walking over top of pockets, causing them to expel toxic hydrogen sulfide. Exposure to hydrogen sulfide is known to cause hallucinations and memory loss. Gas and sulfur smoke have been reported in the areas, as well as hot water springs discovered by the Amarulik family, all of which cause a mirage, causing the traveler to see things. I see it. I don't like this because I think I used the word mythology. I try not to when discussing religious beliefs. It feels kind of insulting. And I'm not saying you shouldn't explore the science of faith-related things. That's fine. But just the way this is worded comes off as like extremely disrespectful to the Inuit people and their history. Like, nope. Your ancestors didn't see boogeymen. They just breathed in some nasty gas and went crazy. We'll get to the buck riders. I wanted to, because I wasn't sure how long this rabbit hole would go, so I wanted to look into it. And I saw this and I wanted to check it out. Elk Colgan is a poem by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It's depicts the death of a child assailed by a supernatural being, the Earl King, a king of the fairies. It was originally written by Goth as part of a 1782 Singspiel der Fischen. So weird. That artwork is interesting. I mean, it's beautiful, but there's a lot, you know, like it's almost like a face here, face here. I'm assuming these are like angels or good spirits or something. And this is our fairy king. And again, fairy at this point would have been more of a like broad term. El Kogan has been called Goth's most famous ballad. The poem has been set to music by several composers, most notably by Franz Schubert. Schubert did one. Oh wow, they have the whole thing here. We're not going to read the whole thing. An anxious young boy, this is a summary, is being carried at night by his father on horseback to where is not spelled out. German Hof is a rather broad meaning of yard, courtyard, farm, or royal court. The opening line tells that the time is late and that it is windy. As the poem unfolds, the son claims to see and hear the Elkog. His father claims not to see or hear the creature, and he attempts to comfort his son, asserting natural explanations for what the child sees: a wisp of fog, rustling leaves, shimmering willows. Earl King attempts to lure the child into joining him, promising amusement, rich clothes, and attention of his daughters. Finally, the Earl King declares that he will take the child by force. The boy shrieks. He has been attacked, spurring the father to ride faster to the Hof. On reaching the destination, the child is already dead. Fucking old German writers, man. That's interesting. I might read this later. The story of the Elkrogen derives from the traditional Danish ballad Elskud. This poem was inspired by Johann Gottfried Herder's translation into German as Elkrogens Tochter, or the Earl King's Daughter, in his collection of folk songs. Stimmen der Wolken in Liedern, 1778. 2 years after America became a thing. Goth's poem then took on a life of its own, inspiring the romantic concept of the Earl King. This was published as a translation. In the original Scandinavian version of the tale, the antagonist was the Earl Koig's daughter rather than the Earl Koig himself. So that's why it's called the daughter. Okay. I'm interested in the list of works. 1931 film directed by Marie-Luce Ivre. Okay. I just want to see if there's any of these that I know. Ooh, a puppet version. Look at this dude. Look at this fucking dude. Born in Jackson, Michigan. I used to live in Jackson, Michigan. 74. Still alive. maybe I'll look into that. Wonder if that's been uploaded somewhere. 1988 film Burning Secret. Baron Alexander recites the final lines of Goth's poem while holding the boy Edmund in a swimming pool. Okay. Pan's Labyrinth. Fantastic movie by a fantastic director. Refers to similar fantasy themes that lie solely on the viewer's imagination. In the movie, in war-torn 1944 Brencos, Spain, a 10-year-old Ophelia is told to be reincarnated as be a princess of the underworld. She has to complete 3 tasks in order for her to acquire her immortality and return to the kingdom. Whether these events are real or just part of her imagination is left to the viewer. So that doesn't jive with what we read up here. No, I guess it kind of does. Fair enough. In the 2015 film Pay the Ghost, the protagonist, played by Nicolas Cage, starts part of the poem. 2020 short film Earl King is a modern reimagining of Goth's poem. Features a reading of the original text and its conclusion. I really wish there was more on that. Boardwalk Empire had an episode named after it. I can guess what happens in the episode. Fictional annotator of Vladimir Nabokov's novel Pale Fire. Author of Lolita. Offers a translation the fictional language of Zembla, the opening lines. That means nothing to me. In 1918, a Yiddish adaptation titled Der Waldecker, published. Moshe Lifshitz. Man, that's a Jewish name. That is like a comically Jewish name. A lot of stuff in this similar area. Angela Carter. That name sounds familiar, but it's also kind of a generic name. A Bloody Chamber. Ooh, that looks cool. Oh, that's kind of neat. A modern retelling. Alluded to by Satsky. Oh, The Witcher. That makes sense. In the Japanese visual novel The Devil on G-String, there El Kogan and the Schubert piece it inspired play a prominent role as a reoccurring theme. We gotta look into that. Don't really care about music games. The PSP game Work Time Fun features a minigame based on the poem, which plays Schubert's composition with a Japanese translation of the lyrics as the background. In '88, an interactive video was displayed at the Kitchen, New York City, in which used video of this song. Oh, performing arts place, okay. Work Time Fun. Oh, it's one of these games. Okay. Alright, where's the... We gotta read about the devil on G-string. Of course, it's Eroge. Japanese adult visual novel developed by released on Windows on 2008 in limited and regular versions. The gameplay follows an interactive branching plotline with multiple scenarios and focuses on the appeal of the 4 female main characters. G surrounding the mile comes from August Wilhelm's Air on the G string. An adaptation of J.S. Bach's original Air and Schubert's El Kogan is known as Mao. Much of the gameplay in The Devil on G string requires little interaction from the player because the majority of the time is spent reading the text that appears on the game screen. This feels like this was written by someone who does not like visual novels. Text being displayed represents the thoughts of characters. Is this section needed? There are 4 different routes in total. I wonder if that's accurate. I wonder if this has been translated into English. So the player assumes the role of Yosuke Azi, protagonist of The Devil on G-string, and an adopted son of a powerful Yakuza boss. Okay, the way that was worded was poor. Though he acts kind and understanding in most social situations, this persona is a pretense used to hide his work as a highly intelligent and ruthless businessman. As the president of one of his father Banzio corporations, Yosuke employs brutal and often illegal business tactics in order to pay off a massive debt accruing intense interest. The debt is held against him by his father and is supposedly partially representative of the cost of raising him, down to the last sheet of toilet paper. Due to Gonzo's abusive education and severity of Kyosuke's debt, he views money as the means, ends, and purpose of life. Yosuke also notably loves classical music. Mao, Demon King, is an alias of the primary antagonist of the game. At the start of the game, Mao's background is shrouded in secrecy. Is little known about him. He derives his name from Schubert's by El Kogan. The game later adds multiple layers to this, including references to the old role-playing games in which a Demon King is the primary antagonist, codenames of the character's previous associates. Haru Usami is the main heroine of Devil on G-string. There's gotta be a thong in this, right? Like, I get G-string is like on a guitar or I guess any string instrument, but there's gotta be one, right? Considered a game theoretical and observational genius as well as a musical prodigy, but her social skills are severely lacking, as experienced by her awkwardly long, unkempt hair. Fucking so Japanese. Haru has a long history with Mao, but is hesitant to discuss it with the rest of the game's cast. Other characters, Aichi Aizawa, close friend of Kyosuke, who harbors a comedic dark side beneath his boy-next-door facade. Baki Miwa, Kyosuke's classmate and obsessive diary keeper. But is he in school or is he a businessman? Whatever. Inan Azai, the only natural child of Kyosuke's adoptive father and a world-class figure skater. Mizuhashi Tori, another of Kyosuke's classmates and the daughter of the school's owner, and Yuki Tokita, Haru's close friend with a talent for criminal psychology and negotiation. Release history. Fourth for Devil on G-String's initial release, 2 free game demos became available for download on the official website. In the demos, the player is introduced to the main character of the game, which includes time-starring gameplay where the player is given several choices to make in order to further plot a specific direction. The full game was released in 2008. Limited and regular editions playable as a DVD on a Microsoft Windows PC. The limited edition contained the art collection, sure. Oh, for previous titles, that game's fan disc, a desk calendar, demo of Ayumatama, Kiss on My Deity, and their sister brand Lump of Sugar, released 2 months after. The all ages English version was published by Seikai Project and released on Steam November 5th, 2015. All right, hold on. Let me look it up. Devil on G. Yeah, it's here. $20. Add that to wish list. Drama CD, okay. From mid-March to April 2008, about 2 months before its release, the game ranks 2nd in national PC game pre-orders in Japan. That's pretty high. The limited edition was ranked 2nd in terms of national releases of PC games in May 2008. Regular edition ranked 26th for the same month. Limited edition ranked again in June 2008 as the 23rd highest seller. Received first prize at the Bishojo Game Awards in 2008. No sequel, though. Doesn't mention one, anyways. Huh. So this is The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories by Angela Carter. First published in the UK in '79. My intention was not to do versions, or as the American editions of this book said, horribly adult fairy tales, but to exact the latent content from traditional stories. Interesting. See. Puss in Boots. Let's see. Where, well, none I really know of other than Puss in Boots. Burning your boats. What is that? The stories within The Bloody Chamber are explicitly based on fairy tales. Carter was no doubt inspired by the works of authors and fairy tale Charles Perrault, whose fairy tales she had translated shortly before. Or are these just like less kiddified versions of the story? Also, I'm curious. It is available. 75th anniversary. Study guide for it too. There it is. Sorry, I'm just kind of reading. Died in 92. Just seeing if there's any work. The Company of Wolves. One of the 50 greatest British writers since 1945. More caveats you gotta add, the less impressive that is. Closer adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. So anything I'm familiar with? Shadow Dance, Magic Toy Shop. Magic Toy Shop. Okay. Oh, is that a sex thing? The Infernal Desire Machine of Dr. Hoffman. Why does that sound familiar? Ugh. Critical Theory. Yeah, I wouldn't know any of those. Yeah. All right, yeah, I was just kind of curious about her. I don't know. This guy just reminds me of like mid to late 90s. Fucking goatee and I guarantee you that at one point this was bleached. Elskvad is Danish most widely used name for one of the most popular ballads of Scandinavia. In summary of the types of Scandinavian medieval ballads, a love rides out at dawn and comes upon elves dancing in the wood. One of the elf maids invites him to dance with her, but he refuses and tells her he is to be married the next day. She puts a fatal sickness on him. He comes home, he is dying, and he expresses his last wishes. Not all versions precisely fit the summary. For example, in many Danish versions, Olav does dance with the elves, sometimes to death. Some versions in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, Olav's death is at first concealed from his bride. Eventually she finds out. In the Icelandic version, the bride is not mentioned at all. That's interesting. And Olav's refusal to dance arises from his Christian faith. Okay, that's why. In one variant, Olav is implied to have been romantically involved with the elf woman for some time. It also begins with his mother predicting his death. Interesting. Again, the whole poem is here. Okay. Okay. Buck Riders, Vulcan Readers, are part of a southeastern Dutch and northeastern Bulgarian folklore. They are They are witches who rode through the sky on the backs of flying bucks provided to them by the devil. Rob and murder common people and church possessions. The trials against buck riders differed from ordinary criminals proceeding because in many cases a so-called ungodly oath was involved. I renounce God and swear my submission to the devil. Once a year they would visit their master, the devil, on the Mook Heath. Sorry. Mook Heath. This is the Battle of Mook Heath. Is a municipality in the southeastern part of the Netherlands. Okay. Interesting that the devil lives there. Throughout the 18th century, groups of thieves and other criminals adopted the beliefs of frightened inhabitants of southern Limburg, a province in the part of the Netherlands, and in parts of what has become since eastern Belgium. So yeah, just a bunch of thieves use the name to kind of give themselves a reputation. The Buck Riders were feared and despised by common people throughout the area because of the ruthlessness and violence of the robberies. The belief existed that the Buck Riders could travel fast and vast distances through the sky. With a link to the occult and witchcraft, authorities accused a large number of potentially innocent men of being Buck Riders. The majority of suspects were tortured and subsequently convicted of crimes they initially denied having committed. Buck Riders were considered both criminals and witches that made a pact with the devil. The witch trials and robbery trials cannot be seen separately in that sense. The accusation always includes both robbery and witchcraft. It is estimated that about 1,200 men were accused, and at least between 425 and 468 men were executed in a 50-year span on conviction of being Buck Rider. The number of deaths might surpass 500 men due to suspects dying under torture when questioned. Ah, history. So our earliest record is 1779. Ooh. That's very pretty. Alright, but I think that's gonna do it for me. Tired. Thanks for dropping by. Lovely to see you. Tired.